It's a chilling thing when a child goes missing, but it's even more chilling when no one notices. Syracuse, New York, a city in the northeastern United States, known more for its harsh winters than for national headlines. But in January 2024, it was the center of a tragedy that would break the heart of a nation. 5-year-old Nefertiti Harris vanished, and no Amber Alert was issued. No frantic parent plastering posters on telephone poles. No police canvassing the streets. For months, there was only silence. A kind of silence that feels wrong, heavy, suspicious. She was 5 years old. A little girl with a name as royal as her spirit. Nefertiti, named after a queen, but treated like a ghost. Her disappearance wasn't loud. It didn't come with a scream. It came quietly, a phantom absence. She simply stopped showing up to school. Her teachers, the very people who were supposed to raise a flag, were told by her mother, Latasha Mott, that the family had moved. That Nefertiti was now in Georgia. And that lie was enough to erase her. At least for a while. If you watch this far, your mind isn't like the average viewer's. You analyze. You question. You look for what others ignore. That's exactly who we want in this community. So prove it, and hit the subscribe button now. There were no missing posters. No local news bulletins. No social media buzz. Just a mother's word, and a little girl's growing absence. In the United States, a country with strict child welfare systems, surveillance, technology, and mandatory reporting. How does a 5-year-old girl disappear, and no one knows? This wasn't a failure of visibility. This was a failure of care. Syracuse, New York, a city home to about 140,000 people, is no stranger to hardship. Like many upstate cities, it's grappling with poverty, underfunded schools, and overworked social services. But what happened in the case of Nefertiti wasn't just a tragedy of circumstance. It was a catastrophe of systemic silence. Because Nefertiti didn't disappear into the night. She disappeared into bureaucracy. Her school, unnamed in the early reports, accepted Latasha Mott's claim that her daughter was transferred to a school in Georgia. No immediate red flags. No verification. No follow-up contact with the supposed new school. Just trust. A trust that would cost a child her life. And the silence didn't stop there. Months passed. According to official reports, it wasn't until January 2024, the same month Nefertiti was allegedly murdered, that the Syracuse City School District finally raised concerns. That timeline, it's murky. It's terrifying. What was happening inside that home between the last day Nefertiti was seen and the day her name finally landed in a child welfare report? No one knew. No one asked. Until it was too late. The world didn't know Nefertiti Harris existed until after she was gone. We don't know the color of her favorite pajamas, or if she liked cartoons, or what she wanted to be when she grew up. We know only what police reports have given us, her name, her age, her death, and what was done to her by the very person meant to protect her. But even before the truth came out, before authorities found her body buried in a remote patch of woods outside Syracuse, New York, there was something haunting about the quiet. Neighbors reported little to nothing. No screaming. No banging. Nothing unusual. The only red flag was a girl no one had seen in a long, long time. And when investigators finally did start asking questions, they found more than a missing child. They found a lie, constructed carefully, and sustained by apathy. The silence became so loud, it forced the hands of investigators. Police, CPS, and the Onondaga County District Attorney's Office began to piece together the timeline. A timeline held together by contradictions, deceit, and dead ends. Latasha Mott told the school Nefertiti had transferred to Georgia. But investigators found no enrollment records in any Georgia school district. No proof of a move. No indication that Nefertiti had ever left New York. And if she never left New York, where was she? They searched apartments. They searched wooded areas. And in the cold air of upstate New York, they found the answer buried in the woods. A small body. Wrapped. Hidden. Forgotten. And only then did the world care. Why wasn't Nefertiti missed? Some blame the school for not verifying the transfer. Some blame Child Protective Services for failing to do wellness checks. Some blame neighbors for not asking questions. But at the center of this tragedy is a terrifying idea. A child can vanish in America without a trace, simply because someone says she's okay. She was 5. Innocent. Small. Vulnerable. She deserved eyes on her. She deserved protection. Instead, she was erased, not in the middle of the night, but in plain daylight. erased by a lie and silence that no one challenged. The United States, a country that prides itself on justice, freedom, and due process, has one of the most complex child welfare systems in the world. But those systems are only as good as the people inside them. When people fail to ask hard questions, children fall through the cracks. In Syracuse, New York, Nefertiti Harris fell through every crack. The most gut-wrenching part of this case is that there was time. Time to notice. Time to intervene. Time to save her. But no one did. The silence was louder than any scream. And the cost was a life. In this chapter of the story, we are not yet confronting the details of Nefertiti's murder. That comes later. What we're facing now is perhaps even more horrifying. The invisible phase of a child's death. The slow, systemic smothering of a girl who simply ceased to exist on paper until she was found buried beneath it. That's the cold silence. And it's something we should all be terrified of. Because Nefertiti's story is not just about abuse. It's about erasure. And that erasure didn't happen in the shadows. It happened right in front of everyone, a school, a city, and a system that chose to believe instead of verify. That's how children die in America. And that's how Nefertiti Harris, age 5, from Syracuse, New York, United States, disappeared without a trace. Young mother, Latasha Mott, and her daughter, Nefertiti Harris. Their lives, though seemingly ordinary from the outside, were marked by complexities that remained hidden until tragedy struck. Latasha Mott, at 29, was navigating the challenges of single motherhood. Details about her early life remain sparse, but it's evident that she faced numerous hardships. Raising a child alone in a city grappling with poverty and limited resources can be overwhelming. Yet, those who knew her described her as a woman striving to provide for her daughter, despite the odds. Nefertiti, affectionately known as Neffy, was a vibrant 5-year-old with an infectious smile. Family friends recall her laughter echoing through the modest apartment they called home. She was set to begin kindergarten at Meacham Elementary School in January 2024, a milestone that marked the beginning of a new chapter in her young life. However, beneath the surface, there were signs of struggle. Neighbors occasionally heard raised voices, but in communities where stress is a constant companion, such sounds often blend into the background. No one imagined the depth of turmoil within those walls. In January 2024, Nefertiti stopped attending school. When questioned, Latasha informed school officials that they had moved to Georgia. No transfer records were found, but the explanation was accepted without further inquiry. This oversight would later prove critical. Months passed without any sightings of Nefertiti. It wasn't until concerned family members reported her missing that authorities began to investigate. Upon questioning, Latasha confessed to fatally beating her daughter with a belt on January 6 and subsequently hiding her body in a wooded area near their apartment. The revelation shocked the community. A vigil was held in Nefertiti's memory, where friends and neighbors gathered to mourn the loss of a young life taken too soon. They remembered her as a joyful child, full of potential and promise. This chapter serves as a somber reminder of the unseen struggles that can exist behind closed doors and the importance of vigilance and community support in safeguarding our most vulnerable. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button now. In January 2024, Neffy was set to begin kindergarten at Meacham Elementary School. Her enrollment marked a significant milestone, a step into a world of learning and growth. However, after a few days of attendance, Neffy vanished from the school's radar. When school officials inquired about her prolonged absence, her mother, Latasha Mott, claimed she had transferred Neffy to a school in Georgia. No transfer records were ever provided, and the school district, bound by state laws that do not mandate kindergarten attendance, had limited authority to investigate further. This loophole in New York State's education law, which requires compulsory education starting at age 6, meant that Neffy's absence did not trigger immediate alarms. The Syracuse City School District, while noting her absence, lacked the jurisdiction to take decisive action. Monique Wright-Williams, the district's chief engagement officer, stated, "If a parent decides they don't want to send their student to kindergarten, we don't have jurisdiction over that." Behind the scenes, Mott's deception extended beyond the school system. She told Neffy's former foster mother and biological grandmother that the child was staying with the other, effectively preventing both from realizing that neither had seen Neffy for months. This web of lies delayed any immediate search or welfare check, allowing the tragic reality to remain hidden. It wasn't until March 2024 that concerns escalated. Family members, growing increasingly worried about Neffy's whereabouts, contacted the police. Upon questioning, Mott confessed to fatally beating her daughter with a belt on January 6th and hiding her body in a wooded area near their apartment. The remains were later found in a shallow grave off Salt Springs Road, confirming the community's worst fears. This case underscores the critical need for systemic reforms. The absence of mandatory kindergarten attendance in New York State created a gap that allowed Neffy's disappearance to go unnoticed for months. It raises pressing questions about the mechanisms in place to protect our most vulnerable and the responsibilities of institutions when red flags emerge. According to prosecutors, Nefertiti's mother, Latasha Mott, struck her daughter multiple times with a belt while the child was in the shower at their home on West Beard Avenue. The assault resulted in Nefertiti's death. Mott then attempted to hide the body, initially placing it in the basement of a residence on McKinley Avenue before ultimately burying it in a wooded area off Salt Springs Road. The concealment of Nefertiti's death lasted nearly 3 months. During this time, Mott provided false information to family members and authorities, claiming that her daughter was staying with relatives or had been transferred to a school in Georgia. It wasn't until March 2024 that concerns escalated, leading to a police investigation. Upon questioning, Mott confessed to the crime and led authorities to the burial site. An autopsy conducted by the Onondaga County Health Department confirmed that Nefertiti died from multiple blunt force injuries, classifying the death as a homicide. Mott has been charged with second-degree murder and 2 counts of concealment of a human corpse. The tragic death of Nefertiti Harris at the hands of her mother, Latasha Mott, was not immediately followed by a call for help or an expression of remorse. Instead, it led to a calculated attempt to conceal the crime, revealing a disturbing depth of deception and denial. According to prosecutors, on January 6th, Mott fatally beat Nefertiti with a belt while the child was in the shower. Rather than seeking medical assistance, Mott allegedly hid her daughter's body within their residence on West Beard Avenue. This act of concealment extended over several days, during which Mott continued her daily routines, all while her deceased child remained hidden in the home. The community remained unaware of the tragedy unfolding within the walls of the Mott residence. Neighbors went about their lives, oblivious to the grim reality next door. It wasn't until concerned family members, noticing Nefertiti's absence, contacted the authorities that the investigation began. Upon questioning, Mott confessed to the crime, leading investigators to a wooded area near their apartment where she had ultimately hidden Nefertiti's body. The search for the child's remains involved extensive efforts, including the use of drones and ground searches by law enforcement. The case of Nefertiti Harris reached a pivotal moment with the arrest and indictment of her mother, Latasha Mott. On March 25, 2024, Latasha Mott, 29, was arraigned on charges of manslaughter and disposal of a corpse in connection with the death of her daughter, Nefertiti Harris. The investigation began when concerned family members reported Nefertiti missing, leading to Mott's confession and the discovery of the child's body in a wooded area near their home. Court documents revealed that Mott initially moved Nefertiti's body from their home on West Beard Avenue to the basement of a nearby residence on McKinley Avenue before ultimately disposing of it in the woods behind an apartment building on Salt Springs Road. During police questioning, Mott admitted to the fatal beating and subsequent concealment of her daughter's body. Authorities also questioned Mott's boyfriend, who was reportedly uncooperative. The case has drawn significant attention, highlighting the importance of community vigilance and the need for systemic safeguards to protect vulnerable children. The tragic death of 5-year-old Nefertiti Harris has cast a glaring spotlight on systemic failures within America's child welfare and protective services. We delves into the intricate web of oversights and missed opportunities that culminated in a preventable tragedy here. Early warning signs and missed interventions. Prior to Nefertiti's death, there were documented instances of domestic violence involving her mother, Latasha Mott, and Mott's boyfriend, Corus Parks. In April 2023, Mott reported to Syracuse police that Parks had choked her while she was holding their daughter and threatened to burn down their house by turning on the gas stove. Despite these serious allegations, Parks was charged with multiple offenses, including unlawful imprisonment and endangering the welfare of a child, but the case was closed without substantial intervention. Educational system oversights. Nefertiti was enrolled in the Syracuse City School District, yet her prolonged absence went unaddressed. Mott falsely claimed that she had transferred her daughter to a school in Georgia, a statement that was accepted without verification. This lack of follow-up allowed Nefertiti's disappearance to go unnoticed for months. Delayed reporting and investigation. It wasn't until March 2024 that concerned family members reported Nefertiti missing, prompting an investigation. Upon questioning, Mott confessed to fatally beating her daughter with a belt on January 6 and hiding her body in a wooded area. The delay in reporting and subsequent investigation highlight significant gaps in community and institutional vigilance. Legal system challenges. Following her confession, Mott was charged with manslaughter and concealment of a corpse. However, the legal proceedings revealed further systemic issues. Parks, despite his involvement in concealing Nefertiti's body, was released from jail due to the charges not meeting New York State's criteria for bail-eligible offenses. This decision underscores the complexities and limitations within the legal framework when addressing such cases. Community response and reflection. The community's reaction to Nefertiti's death was one of profound grief and introspection. A vigil held in her memory drew attention to the collective failure to protect one of its most vulnerable members. Speakers emphasized the need for systemic change and greater accountability to prevent similar tragedies. Nefertiti Harris's death serves as a stark reminder of the multifaceted failures within America's child protection systems. From domestic violence reports and educational oversights to legal system shortcomings, each missed alarm contributed to a preventable loss. Addressing these systemic issues requires a comprehensive approach, emphasizing proactive intervention, interagency communication, and community engagement to safeguard the well-being of children. In the early days of April 2024, the city of Syracuse, New York, stood still. The community gathered to mourn the loss of 5-year-old Nefertiti Diamond Nephi Harris, whose life was tragically cut short. The funeral service was held at Tucker Missionary Baptist Church, drawing attendees from all walks of life, family, friends, neighbors, and even strangers moved by the heartbreaking news. Nefertiti was remembered as a loving and energetic child who cherished her siblings and enjoyed playing games. She was a student at McKinley Brighton Elementary School, where her absence left a void felt by teachers and classmates alike. The service was marked by emotional tributes and a profound sense of loss. Reverend Ricardo Draper Jr., who led the ceremony, spoke of the community's grief and the need for collective healing. In the days leading up to the funeral, a vigil was held near the wooded area where Nefertiti's body was found. Community members left teddy bears, candles, flowers, and balloons, creating a poignant memorial for a life taken too soon. Nefertiti was laid to rest at Oakwood Cemetery in Syracuse, a final resting place that now serves as a somber reminder of the young life lost.